Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Tyson, good to see you, man. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Good to be seen, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, this movie kind of debuted at TIFF in 2022, and now kind of more people are going to be able to see it. Does it feel like you're doing everything all over again with like the press and everything?
Yeah, you know, it was such a goodwill sort of project that we shot in Vegas like 2 years ago now. That I'm the excitement's still there for me to get it out there into the world. So yeah. I'm really happy to be chatting about it.
The first thing that kind of came to mind when I'm watching this movie is everyone, even from an acting perspective, like everyone got to work with incredible kind of storytellers and actors on this. And I feel like no matter whether you've been on a set once or 1,000 times, every time you're on a set, Tyson, you're going to learn something new. So with that said, with this one, what were some learning experiences for you kind of as an actor and storyteller on Prisoner's Daughter? I'm curious about that.
That's a good question, man. You know, for me, it was like a masterclass working with people like, you know, the great Logan Roy, Mr. Brian Cox himself. He, you know, is such a seasoned actor that honestly walks with such grace into every scene that I think just being around him and just picking up on his demeanor before he dropped into a scene was really something that I think I took away from it. You know, he was loose with it. And, you know, for me, I'm very young in my craft, and playing a character like Tyler, who's this, you know, drug-addled, you know, sort of tortured soul, I kind of kept telling myself, don't slip, don't take a break. And so kind of holding the space for my character while I'm off to the side, sort of like, like keeping focused, I was over there just looking at Brian, and Brian's like just hamming it up with the kid, Chris, who plays my son in this. And I was like, man, he's at such ease with it. And I think I just learned that from my experience, at least with Brian, was to be a complete ease with the work that I do before I step on set. So yeah, that was a huge learning thing for me.
I feel like, yeah, sorry. No. I love what you said about it being a masterclass. That's like the best thing ever. I feel like that's what it is.
For sure. I mean, yeah, it was a surreal experience, especially, coming out of the pandemic and stepping onto a set with Kate Beckinsale and Brian Cox, and working with Kat, the director. It was just a very surreal sort of thing to step into, having been completely smothered in isolation.
100%. And I feel like as creatives, we always kind of strive to like wear many hats and kind of go into many different avenues. But for you, like, was there a time where you were hoping you were going to be doing both? Or you were going to do music and you were going to do acting, or did it kind of just happen for you?
I mean, honestly, I've always, ever since I stepped on a stage, when I was doing town and gown theater when I was like 8 years old in Stillwater, Oklahoma, where I'm from, I think, I always wanted to be on a stage, and somebody put a guitar in my hand, and it turns out I could write a song, and that was my way. That was my way to perform. I've always enjoyed performing. I love every facet of acting, of performing, and I'm a painter as well. I mean, I like doing it all, man.
Absolutely. One of my first concerts ever, 2006, was Fall Out Boy All-American Rejects from First to Last, October Fall. It was like one of my first shows. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because that whole kind of 3 weeks leading up to the concert, my whole school, we were all the kids who were into that music, were talking about it. The buildup of the show was an event. I'm sure you never get tired hearing about things like that, right? Where like, because I know I was in bands too. I know how a lot of the kind of songwriting goes. You know, you write songs at certain times. You're a bad practice and everything, and then people are kind of waiting like 3-4 weeks anticipation to hear songs that you wrote. Like that will never get not crazy, right?
No, it's surreal. It's surreal even to this day, and even seeing the resurgence, kind of the last couple years for our genre and our music. It's a pinch me moment every time I step on stage, man. It's very grateful to be able to not only have done it, but to get to continue to do it.
And it's interesting. My favorite All American Reject song. I love the ones that were very popular, but my favorite one is Top of the World. That's my favorite All American Reject song.
No shit. That's a deep cut, man.
It is a deep cut, man. I like Stab My Back is a close second, man. I'm just saying, like, no,
very cool.
It's interesting. No, I do have to say too. We'll get back to Prisoner's Daughter, but it's just you have to understand, like, you know, being someone who was into a lot of that music, going through a tough time at school with kind of bullying and everything, you know, having bands like the All American Rejects, I just want to say, man, like, really kind of helped, and it was amazing where you'd be able to kind of like, you know, have a bad day at school, come home, put Dirty Little Secret on, and just listen to the whole record. So I just wanted to actually say thank you, man. Seriously, in regards to that.
That means so much, man. I really, truly, I mean that. That's I always tell my mom, I was like, I may not be a great guy all the time, but when people come up to me and tell me what some of the music has done for them and what it means to them, I was like, if there is some sort of after existence of this, you know, plane of mortal existence, then maybe I go to a good place because of that. Because it's just such a surreal thing to realize that music has such can traverse, you know, not only just affecting people, but changing maybe their trajectory because it inspires them to sort of keep going.
It's an incredible feeling to be able to listen to bands that just kind of like make things in the current situation a lot better than it is. You know what I mean? And I think that's a power, man. It is. And I don't feel like you guys ever like, maybe you do, but I feel like that's something that just kind of happens with time. Like, I don't think that's something that you like in band practice and when you're rehearsing or everything, you're like, I don't think you think about the impact as much, or maybe you do, right? Depending on like the time of it.
No, I mean, I don't think anybody does. If you consider what you're doing, I always say that if you consider what you're doing in the moment that you're doing it, then you're probably going to ruin the moment, which is just the same way with acting and with Prisoner's Daughter. I think there's scenes in this film that I think that's why I really maintained my focus while I was doing this movie, because I just didn't want to sidestep in front of somebody like Brian Cox or even Kate Beckinsale, who's such a like unsung, you know, her film The Days of Disco was a film where I was like, this is an incredible actress. And then just getting to work opposite of her as her love interest, to see how much she put herself through to sort of get this movie across the finish line. It was super impressive.
And last question, what are you hoping people get out of it when they watch Prisoner's Daughter? I mean, for people, it's not the easiest watch at times. This movie hits very hard. You know what I mean? So,
you know, I think it's a story that is not uncommon to me. Las Vegas, I'm so grateful that we got to share a real side of Las Vegas with the world, because everybody imagines it to be buffet lines and casinos. And Las Vegas, the city itself, is really working class. It's really a beautiful, a city comprised of such beautiful people that are working to get their fair shake, and it's got an incredible artist community. And I think at the heart of the story, you know, Vegas was a character in the film. And Mark Bacci, the writer, created this world inside of Las Vegas where characters are dealing with real life issues that we often don't, you know, feel. I don't feel are portrayed all the time. You know, a small struggling family working through addiction issues. I think it hits hard because it hits home. And I think especially post opioid epidemic, post addiction America, the addicted, I think to be able to bring stories where people, good families that sort of get torn down by addiction, I think it helps. It can help, just like my music helped you through a struggling time. When you hear a song that speaks to you and speaks to your struggle, when you see a film that speaks to you and speaks to your struggle, then it helps you get a little further in life. Maybe it helps you get another day. Maybe it helps you, reconcile. Maybe it helps you figure out how to survive in this ever-changing world.
Absolutely. Prisoner's Daughters will be available June 30th, so check it out. Tyson, thanks so much for your time, man, and thank you again for your music. It was great chatting with you.
It's a pleasure, man. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.